Next up we have Daniel Flood. He hails from Melbourne and has a history in community arts and digital cultural engagement. In his spare time he makes theatre with young people, writes and designs interactive installation works, and he is a very valued member of the State Library of Queensland team based out of The Edge. Please welcome Daniel.
Just skip there. Just with my hands. Okay. Sorry, just getting ready. All right. Oh, for Christ's sake. Can you hear me? All right. I'm speaking tonight on the idea of the massively multiplayer online role-playing game. From Wargame to Dungeons & Dragons to the World of Warcraft, all errors are mine, or that of a small psychotic dwarf named Throg. To begin with the beginning, it begins with a game called Little Wars, created by H.G. Wells. It was the rules for grown men sitting around playing soldiers with each other, not to be mistaken with playing Doll's House. There's a forebear of the real-time strategy games, Warcraft, Starcraft, Minesweeper, but not Minecraft. But then again, it might be considering how thin the gene pool is actually in gaming. Millions of tiny toy soldiers have been cast and painted by hands worldwide, ranging from ancient Assyrians to chaos-infested space marines hell-bent on destructions, thousands of computer games, and the classic 80s film War Games. The war game laid foundations for the role-playing game, which provided the basic rules of make-believe man-to-man conflict, coupled with the desire to tell a story. In the same way the digital choose-your-own-path text-based adventure game Zork, Rogue, and the didactically titled Adventure did. With the advent of network computers, we saw the rise of the text-based multi-user dungeon, which exists still today in the very darkest corners of the internet. The idea of the intrepid party of heroes seeking adventure is not new. We've read this story through and through, The Magic Faraway Tree, The Wizard of Oz, The Lord of the Rings. Every child who's read those stories has wished they could have been there, done things differently, co-authored the narrative. That is the foundation of the role-playing game. It is a grand instance of let's pretend with a set of rules that everyone can agree on. Awesome. It began in Lake Geneva, USA with Gary Gygax, who looked at his medieval wargame rules chainmail and thought, you know, that wargame's pretty good, but I think it'd be better with elves, hobbits, outside of copyright, and wizards that can throw fireballs and blow stuff up with their mind. This was in 1971. Everyone assumed he was completely and utterly insane and it would never work. Just waiting for that. And this is a man named Dave Arnson. Sitting in Milwaukee at the same time, he was taking that same set of rules and turning them from the macro to the micro, moving away from a unit and looking at one man or woman or elf lost in an ancient dungeon, being attacked by monsters and getting better at doing this while he travels along. These two men met and eventually they thought, hey, this is an idea. These two men, to clarify, are to our understanding of modern character-driven simulation gaming, the Steve Jobs and Bill Gates are to the graphical user interface for computing. They created concepts that underpin modern fantasy literature, first-person shooters, Tamagotchi, and the Pokemon. The term level up was first used in one of their basements, arguably when a fighter got better at killing things. Gygax would publish the imaginally titled fantasy supplement for Chainmail and bring the dragon to the table. Arnson gave it a dungeon to live in, hit points, and a sense of progression. It became a game known as Dungeons & Dragons, first distributed in a basement and then recently by the world's largest toy manufacturer. Quiet. It was also seen in the film E.T. at the very beginning, all the kids sitting there playing. On to the next one. It is a game of make-believe underpinned by strangely shaped dice and a complex algebraic equations. The math was illogical, the description's poorly written, and the first edition had so many problems with the rules you could drive a truck through them, and no two games around the world were the same. It was awesome. And it caught on like wildfire across the American college network, and from there, the world. Why does this kind of a game exist? Well, Carl Jung might have said, but he didn't, that it is a game of constructs that provides a portal to the collective unconscious, allowing the player the tools to explore the dungeons there and confront the dragons that swim within. That it represents an opportunity to write your own story and place your projected self into peril and danger within a safe context. There have been PhDs written about it. From a more less academic purpose, it could also be said that reading every word written by Robert Howard, Tolkien, and the entire Lovecraft mythos cycle might have done it. Breaking into disused insane asylums to explore or imagining what might happen in a dank sewer at age 13 might have played a part in it. Also, though, really it's all about being sitting in a darkened cave, riddling with a small creature and wondering what's in your pockets. Since Dungeons & Dragons... there have been hundreds of similar games released, giving game masters and players places they can be someone else, beat things up and steal their things afterwards in an Aristotelian model of modern catharsis. Cyberpunk, Vampire the Masquerade, Call of Cthulhu, Top Secret, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, live-action role-playing, augmented reality gaming, how to host a murder, and dare I say cosplay. It is assumed that the player, as established by popular culture, are largely bearded, overweight men with little social graces and poor grasp of hygiene. They cower in darkened rooms, trolling the internet and slurping Jolt Cola and Doritos. It is the comic book guy from The Simpsons, Captain Sweatpants from The Big Bang Theory, one step short of a serial killer, This is now the minority, and it requires some addressing. In popular culture, we now claim Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Vin Diesel, Stephen Colbert, Judi Dench and Robin Williams. On Friday, I will play with a PhD in international currency management. My every Wednesday game is happening right now with a corporate litigator and a doctor. The Friday lunch game is played with mining engineers. The once-a-month Sunday is played with 5 prominent Brisbane psychiatrists. Annually, all over the world, there are conventions dedicated to people coming together and nerding out about the things they love. Conventions like Origins, PAX, Gen Con, PlayerCon, Comic Con, OzCon, Conquest, the list goes on. These are events people wait for every year, spending thousands of hours creating costumes and writing adventures for other people to experience and challenge. It is not a place for usual suspects. It is a community, and that's what this kind of gaming is about. There are campaigns, which are like long series of adventures strung together that tell something more akin to a novel than a short story. Think of the difference between a season of Game of Thrones and Doctor Who. 13 episodes of one story versus 13 episodes of a lot of stories. Some of these campaigns last decades, and some of them have spanned continents, quite literally. With the advent of the internet in the 90s, yes, that's right, home internet has only been around since the 90s. People tried to emulate the live online experience. There were text-based multi-user dungeons, which I remembered sitting at 3 a.m. in the morning in a computer lab playing. With the increased bandwidth came Blizzard's Diablo, the first role-playing game they did before World of Warcraft, and the first massively multiplayer online role-playing game, EverQuest, The Homewrecker. Amongst all this came Second Life. It was a thing of the early 2000s, with consultants selling constructs to multinational corporations, people buying virtual worlds with real money. It's still out there, I think. A ghost world of forgotten digital seas, rolling pixels of grass in bit-built super malls that echo with emptiness. Maybe it doesn't, but I like to think that it does, and it's the place that Albert Camus would write about today. Now we have World of Warcraft. Its annual profits exceed the GDP of many developing nations and establish cottage industries of gold farmers in Eastern Europe and mainland China. It is a world where the very persistence necessitates commuting from one side of the globe to the other in the hope to commit communal homicide. Don't even ask what happens on Christmas Day. It is terrifying. Imagine, if you will, sitting beside your flatmate's avatar, whose physical presence is 6 feet from you in the next room, on a pier that is situated on a server somewhere in Indonesia. That boat will transport your avatar across transhuman space to another sector of the server's memory where the next fun bit will happen. You will sit, read, pass 39 minutes boat ride, waiting to get there. It's like catching a bus. Thank you.